Let's go, everybody. I hope and pray that you are doing well. It's me again. And I have a wonderful guest also, my lovely bride, Crystal Amanchukwu. Crystal, say hello today.
Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. I'm glad to be here one more time. Thank God for another day, and I'm glad to be here with the Rev Ru Truth Army sharing on YouTube today. I think we have a good show lined up.
Yes, we do. We're going to talk about, of course, what some call to be Pride Month, but it's not Pride Month. It is Jesus Pride Month, if anything, but it's also Life Month because it was in the month of June a few years ago that Roe v. Wade was overturned. And we celebrate that. We celebrate life, right? We
Amen.
celebrate God's institution of marriage, which is between a man and a
Woman.
only,
Only.
right?
That's
Only.
right.
Two men getting married is not a marriage. Two women getting married is not a marriage. It's only when you do it God's way. And what comes from doing things God's way when it comes to marriage? What can happen between that man and that woman?
Well, you have the favor of God, you have the peace of God. We have fecundity. We have the ability to have children, to establish heritage and legacy. And the reality is, the two parent family is in reality still the gold standard and the best system of raising a family, and has the best outcomes in any demographic measure: academic achievement, health, emotional, social awareness, and development and growth by every standard of measure. If we are dealing with sociologists, psychiatrists, doctors, everyone who's honest will tell you that the two parent family with a male and a female together living in one home is the best a setup for our society as a whole. And so we take pride in that only because we understand that we are doing it God's way. Doing it God's way is the best way.
I love it. It's one of those things where, scripture lets us know, Genesis chapter 1, 27 and 28 talks about how God created us male and female. And also, when you do it God's way, you can be fruitful.
Yes.
You can replenish the earth and you can multiply, right? There's a life there. You can reproduce through it. And why choose a lifestyle that's going to lead you down the dead end road? It's not going to be fruitful. And so one of the takeaways that we can take even from this month that the enemy has used as a tool to divide people around, pride is it fruitful?
Right.
Is it fruitful?
Good question.
Can it multiply? Will it replenish the earth? And if not, then one has to come to the conclusion that it might be a selfish lifestyle.
Right.
Right. It only allows a person's lust to be fulfilled. Beyond that, nothing can germinate, nothing can grow, nothing can be yielded from it. And so these are the things that I point to and I look at when I consider Pride Month. We're going to show a video clip in a little bit where a school district in Arlington, Virginia is parading this misnomer of pride to kids. Hey, if you're tuning in right now, do me a big favor and introduce yourself and tell me where you're tuning in from. Give me your name, give me the city and the state. I want to communicate with you. Since you have joined me, I don't mind communicating with you and having dialogue and having a conversation with you before we get into some of these topics today. And this is going to be a fun show. I know some of you will catch it later on, but it will be a fun show addressing some of the challenging issues of our day.
Yeah.
In particular, of course, Pride Month, but also this P. Diddy scandal, which has been just atrocious. Just hearing some of the feedback, it's like, man, what in the world was he thinking?
Speaking of pride, right?
Speaking of pride.
Speaking of pride, and imagine just some of the things that he is being accused of. It's unspeakable. It's unthinkable. And to realize that we're in a month really where we are celebrating that kind of behavior. I really think that we have to make a choice. Are we going to prosecute, embarrass, shame, humiliate people, take their contracts? And are we going to do all of that to people for engaging in unusual, ungodly, illicit sexual behavior? Or are we going to celebrate it?
Right.
I mean,
right.
Which one are we going to do? Because I think that we're just really confused right now. But yeah, when we look at that stuff, I'm just, it blows me away. I don't even realize how you have that much time. I'm like, well, maybe he needed some young children. Maybe he needed a church to pastor or something. It's like, how do you even have time to think about all of that? It's just too much.
Yeah, he evidently, an idle mind is the devil's workshop, right? And so when you're idle, you're left to the recesses of your mind to conjure up whatever you want. But then, the Bible says that the love of money is the root cause of all evil.
Yes,
indeed. And so
indeed.
as these people seek and worship money, you begin to find yourself going in different paths that you never decided to go, simply because you want gain, you want fame. And there are many people who are in Hollywood and in the elite industries of our day, and they have to do all kinds of things to get in.
Right.
You know what I mean? The initiation process is terrible. And oftentimes it's like a gang, when it comes to a gang, hey, you can get in, and oftentimes they have to jump you and beat you up to get you in. But you can't get out.
Blood in, blood out is what they say.
Exactly. Blood in, blood out. And so there's so many things that we can say about that and these secret societies, and these organizations that are out there that are controlling a lot of things, because Satan is the prince of the air. And we know we're fighting against him. And many of these people are anti-God, anti-Christ, and they're pro Luciferian teachings and ideologies. And so we know what we are contending with. We are dealing with spiritual warfare. We know that we are, and we don't simply want to curse the darkness, but we have to make a difference, between what is right and what's wrong, what's holy and what's unholy, what's righteous and what's unrighteous. We should, as Christians, put the difference there and be proud and bold in doing so. I see we have Anthony Maffei on. He says, hey, brother, just letting you know that I'm a new subscriber from Quebec, Canada. Canada in the building. God bless you, brother. God bless you, my friend. Thank you so much. Hey, we're hoping that Canada might become a part of the United States of America. What do you think about that, Anthony? You want to join us? We'll be glad to have you. Andre B. Fishin is on. Andre from Georgia here. God bless. God bless you as well, Andre. We also have Cynthia from Jacksonville, Florida. We were just talking about Florida earlier today because we're making plans to go, huh?
Yes. Can't wait.
Yeah, we're making plans to go to Florida for a vacation here soon. And so we look forward to it. I like Florida. We used to live in Florida back in 2009, 2010. We lived in the Miami area, Aventura to be exact. And it was a wonderful part of Florida. It was very busy, very hot, very, very, very warm. We loved the beaches. We loved the food. We despised the traffic.
Yes.
And the driving, people couldn't drive in Miami. You know what I mean? It was something. And at that time you were pregnant with John Patrick, right? I'm our first child. And we had a phenomenal time.
We did.
Taking Miami and Aventura, Florida by storm.
Yeah. And this year we got to bring the children back with us, and they enjoyed it as well.
That's right.
They were able to participate in some of the things that we told them about, and all the things that we loved about Florida. They got to see it for themselves. So that was fun.
Yes, indeed. We also have Alana Carmen. She's watching. Blessings to the both of you from Winterville, North Carolina.
All right.
Right
around the corner.
Yes, indeed. Lima Colors. It could be bug fly. Okay. Someone's trying to get in. The handsome one. All right. Ottawa, Canada is in the house. Thank you so much. Anthony says senior videos in the school board across the U.S. need you to come up here, brother, to do the same. Hey, man, I'm open to coming, but I don't know. I need to check your laws first. All right, we still have a modicum of liberty left in the United States of America.
Yeah.
And so I need to learn. I need to figure out your laws in Canada before I go up there. And I'm no pushover. I'm not afraid, but I need to know what I'm going into so I can bring the necessary support and have some. I don't know the currency in Canada. What do they use? But
you know what? I'm not sure.
What is the currency in Canada?
I look that one up.
Let me know, Anthony. But anyway, I need to bring some Canadian dollars to bail me out. I don't know how your bail system works, but yeah, I'm all for it, my friend.
Oh, dollars. I think it's
dollars. It's dollars.
Yeah, just the Canadian dollar.
Canadian dollars. There it is. I just learned something, and so we'll be glad to do that. All right, I want to jump into this Arlington, Virginia mess where they created this video for children. And man, I don't know why. These demonic people are doing this. Okay, we do know why.
Mm-hmm.
But you say to yourself, don't do that to the kids.
Yeah.
All right. If you're an adult and you have this belief system that, you can be whatever sex you desire, you can do all of these lewd things. All right, that's one thing. But when you start messing with children, that's another level of evil. Dion Ellison calls it demon-crats, Diddy-crats.
I like that name.
I heard that. Bless 143 says, hello, Elder Amanchukwu and Evangelist Crystal. Michelle from Bolingbrook. My son, daughter, and I will be visiting Upper Room tomorrow, Friday and Sunday. Hey.
Oh, awesome. You come for the men's conference?
Thank you so much.
Good.
We look forward to connecting with you.
Nice.
And so here it is. We'll play this video so you can take a look at what's going on in Arlington, Virginia.
Pride to me means, firstly, just accepting that person for who they truly are.
Here we go.
And acknowledging that they belong. And as a middle school teacher, just kind of helping them figure that out as they are coming into that for the first time and exploring their identity.
To be able to affirm a student's personal journey, their pronouns, and how affirmative it is when I hear my students.
To be able to affirm a student's personal journey. I'm going to stop and start this a little bit. We have some music here. And so we're working with YouTube.
Yeah.
To affirm a student's personal journey. What is that?
I don't know. It sure isn't education.
And yeah,
I mean, it's not reading, writing, and arithmetic as they used to say. There's just too much going on.
Sure.
It's just too much, and the pronouns and the personal journey. Why don't we just get everybody on a certain reading level?
Right.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we get everybody to score on a certain level on the standardized test at the end of the year? Like, I mean, so many of the things that are not happening at school that people are sending their children to school for.
Correct.
Let's get help for every student who needs help, who's struggling, who needs remedial support. I mean, so many things are coming to mind, so many needs that exist in the school systems for this to even be on the agenda. For this to even be something that we have time to talk about. I just don't get it.
Yes, it's insane. Andre B says it's not their job to affirm anything.
No, it's not.
They are affirming confusion. And what does the Bible say about that? That God is not the author of confusion. That Greek word is the term akatastasia. It means disorder and chaos. This, my friends, is chaos. Watch.
Be able to correct themselves, or if they share a little bit about their own pronoun use.
I remember that when I was a kid, back at the turn of the century.
Yes, okay.
Pride meant
What is that?
largely
What
just
is that?
visibility.
I mean,
right?
male, female.
If you
don't
felt
know.
safe.
All right, pause it here. What are we looking at here? What are we looking at here? What is that?
I really don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm not being funny.
Sure.
I don't know. And I ask because if you're ever with a child and you see people like that, that's what they ask.
Right.
You know, what is, Mom?
Yeah, what is that?
You know, if you go through drive-through, you know, Mom, what was that? Mom, what do you think that was? Are you looking at certain commercial? I mean, these are the questions that people ask. And so you are a question mark yourself. And you're trying to give someone else affirmation and an explanation as to where they're going.
Sure.
They don't even understand you.
They don't. It's the blind leading the blind.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a perfect segue for us to cover this content before we get into this P. Diddy scandal.
Right.
Because the same kind of culture that you see from the P. Diddy scandal is ultimately what they're trying to steep children in.
That's right.
As early as the age of in preschool now, 2 and 3 and 4, before they even get to grade school. And so there is a connection between what we're watching in this video and part of what we will see that has been played out through the Diddy scandal. And when you see that connection, one should come to the realization that we are contending with spiritual warfare.
Right.
This is a battle. A lot of people love to call the whole issue as it relates to books in the public school system. They love to say that it's a fringe issue.
You made it up, John.
Yeah, I made it up.
You made all of this.
Yeah,
Matter of fact, you made the book.
Yeah, I just made it up.
All of
it. Exactly.
Your publishing company.
Yeah.
You just made it all up.
It's a farce, but hey, I'm holding a book right here. And the title of this book is Queer, the Ultimate LGBTQ Guide for Teens. Okay. That's the title of this book. And I just want to read something just briefly here. When you go to page 131, this is what it says. It says, let's face it, depending on where you live, there may not be many other LGBTQ teens around. So when that cute 25-year-old from the coffee shop asks you out, you might want to say yes. Or you might be infatuated with someone older, your coach, a church counselor, or a friend of your parents. That's really
a friend of who?
A friend of your parents. Talk to me. A coach.
A friend of your parents.
A friend of your parents.
That should be a person who is off limits. If a friend of mine is remotely interested in any of my children, I want my children to let me know.
That's right.
Immediately.
Immediately. Yeah.
I need you to let me know that immediately. That's not okay.
Right.
That's not cool.
A friend of your parents. But
a coach.
A coach.
Now when these coaches get caught, we put their faces on the news.
Yes.
We embarrass them, rightfully so.
Rightfully so.
But I wonder, is there any connection between this kind of material in schools and that kind of behavior in schools?
There is.
I mean, there has to be.
There is. I was recently in Beaufort, South Carolina for the Hilton Head district in that area. And there was a situation going on that was quite similar. They had a book in a middle school by the name of Boy Toy. And it's a book that talks about a female teacher that had a relationship with a young boy. Well, hey, prior to me coming, about 3 weeks prior to me coming, there was a teacher, a female teacher who had a relationship with one of her male students. So it is in the library. So it is in the classroom.
Oh, absolutely.
So it is in these books. So it is even with the Diddy scandal.
Absolutely.
All of this stuff is connected. We have a Diddy freak off education system in America. And this month has been set aside to celebrate it. They just want to celebrate it.
This is insane, John. I mean, and we can't figure out whether it's right or wrong, weak or strong.
That's right. We can't figure it out. And so it says that's really common. You know what? Let me back up. we overlook the part where it says your coach, friend of your parents, but also a church counselor.
Why would you do that? Now, if a pastor, a choir director, a camp counselor gets involved with these children, we are going to tar and feather
the
adults.
We are.
And we should.
We are.
I'm not saying we shouldn't.
That's right.
But what's happening here?
This is the plus.
Yeah.
This is the plus. And the LGBTQIA. This is the plus. This is the pedophilia part. This is the minor attracted persons part, the MAPS part. This is the entryway into whatever deviant or lascivious driven thing that you can come up with. This is the plus. It's almost like when Paul was in Mars Hill and he saw the sign and the inscription said, "To the unknown God."
Right.
It's the same kind of mentality. To the unknown God, to the plus. All right. The unknown God being whatever other God in the pantheon that we want to add to it and conjure up. Yes, we are going to set this inscription aside for that additional God. But in the plus, it's whatever deviant thing that we haven't been able to identify. We want to know. We want to let you know that we want you to belong.
That's not good.
And we want you to be affirmed. All right. Let's play just a little bit more of this clip, and we'll pivot.
Brave. Pride Month was a chance to be your true and whole self, even out in public. Or if you weren't feeling so bold, others were doing it for you, and you could feel the safety of the community.
To me, pride means showing up for myself and for others. It's about being unapologetically real, supporting people who need it, and creating a world where no one has to hide who they are. Because after all, we're all human.
In the 1990s, I was let go from my first teaching job because I was gay, and I was told, "We don't like gay people here, and we don't want you on our retirement plan." So for me, pride means having the right to be out, to be visible, and to be protected from job discrimination. I now get to create a classroom where students can thrive, where they can be seen, where they are safe, and where they are celebrated for exactly who they are.
To me, pride is ignoring and rejecting any of the labels and boxes that have been put on me by other people and inventing my own.
Pride is recognizing your values even when no one else will.
Okay.
Pride is unequivocal love. Pride is equity.
Yeah.
Pride is being able to feel comfortable with yourself without the fear of others judging you.
Yeah.
Pride is about accepting all others and accepting yourself no matter what.
Yeah.
It is a time not just for tolerance, not just for acceptance, but for celebration of those who may be LGBTQ. And I want to make sure that everyone in our community.
What kind of spirit do you see coming from this person?
Right. I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, no, you would not be a teacher.
Nope.
You could not be a principal. No. I'm re-enrolling. I remember when we used to manage a school, and we were doing an enrollment visit with a young girl, and she was a Caucasian little girl. And the school was predominantly African American.
Sure. And
when the dad would bring her in, and they did the enrollment meeting, she would look around, and at first she was just bubbling and exciting. And we went to more and more classes, and the little girl said, "Oh, Daddy, I have a little headache." And then it was like we went to another class, and if she liked it, it was fine. But if she didn't like what she said, "Oh, Daddy, I have a little headache," it was like that was the code language.
That was the
the
family cue.
Yeah, if you like it, just laugh and joke. But if you don't like it, say, "Oh, Daddy, I have a little headache." Daddy, I have a little headache. This is not going to work.
No, what needs to happen, Daddy need to put a little headache on that behind and discipline her.
Yeah.
Right. Because at the end of the day, no, I'm not going to send you to a school that fits your fantasy and your fairy tale. I'm not going to support that. And then we have code language that when something seems to be too Christian, too godlike, then I got a migraine, I got a migraine, I got a migraine, I got a migraine, I got a migraine. No, you need to be corrected. You need to be checked. No, I got your headache. I got your headache.
But if I saw him, if we walked in the office or we go to the classroom and I see that guy, I see an adult male in a green and white polka dot bow tie, and just the spirit that I discern on him. Yeah, it's gonna,
something.
Blink once for yes, blink twice for no. Something we're gonna have some kind of code language because I'm out of here.
That's right. It's time to go. It's time to go. But hey, that's enough of that. As you can see, this is what's taking place in public schools all around this country. What you just saw in this video is synonymous with school board districts all across America. Yours truly has been able to travel to 19 states now, fighting for children. It didn't start off with this issue, though. Initially it was the whole CRT and racial consciousness thing, and students, being demonized for their Christian faith. That took place, but over time we've seen a steady uptick in the number of school districts out there that are supporting the Diddy freak off culture in public schools.
Yeah,
they've become breeding grounds for this stuff. They have become entities that are getting children geared and primed for that type of lifestyle and or culture. And I say to all of the men out there, hear me. There are three things that you can use to depict people when it comes to this issue, especially men. Is either you're a punk, a pervert, or a protector. Men should speak up and out and against these issues. You can't take the position of being a punk, that's i.e. being a coward. You don't want to be a pervert because perversion leads you to hell, but God has called you to be a protector. So whether it's this issue or even it's the Title IX issue and men competing in women's sports, I say to the fathers again, what are you going to be, a punk or a pervert or a protector? You have so many dads who go to school systems all around this country. They sit in the bleachers and you watch their daughter compete against a male. All right. Why is this happening? It's happening because dads have become punks, perverts, and they fail to be protectors. I would like to think that if I'm at a event and someone's competing against my daughter and I see a guy come out there, that they're gonna look on the 5 o'clock news, 10 o'clock news, whatever news, and see that, man, why was this big old black dude in a protector hoodie running on the field too? Or why did that black preacher almost drown at the swim meet? Because black people can't swim that well anyway. Right? So they're gonna be up there. Well, we had to pull Reverend Amachuku out of the pool. He jumped in 20 feet deep of water, but he says it was for a good cause. And indeed,
I'll second. Amen.
You second that, right? But listen, you hear my humor, but I pray that you hear the truth behind what I'm saying. We can't allow these things to persist. All right, so now I want to go to a video clip of, we'll start with the one with PBD from his podcast, Patrick Bet David. I want to take a look at that clip. PBD does a phenomenal job in breaking down just the lunacy of everything behind the P. Diddy scandal, just giving you a clear breakdown and synopsis of his finances, of his relationships, of familial ties, everything in between. It's masterful. I think this is one of those things where when someone does such a bumper job, that the best thing to do is to promote it. You know what I mean? And so I got this information in this video from PBD. He did a wonderful job. I don't think anyone could do better. And so I want to show it to you, and then we're going to react to it at the end. Hopefully you enjoy this.
Some very strange things are going on with Diddy's kids. Let me explain to you why. Think about what happened with Ghislaine Maxwell, who was the lead prosecutor, the same person that when Epstein was being held accountable was the same lead prosecutor that is now with Diddy. This person's been the lead prosecutor for all three of them. What do you think is going to happen with Diddy? Is Diddy going to be O.J. Simpson 2.0? You know, he's going to go free and nothing's going to happen to him? Slap on it. How well, we couldn't find anything so far when we're looking at the case with Cassie Ventura. What do we know? We know the fact that he hit her. We've seen the videos. We know the fact that the freak-offs were taking place, that he was hiring people from Craigslist, that he was paying them $1,500 to $6,000, depending on how well of a job they were doing performing. With her, she would have to do some really nasty things, drink urine, all these weird things that they have in the documentation. He would put a mask on, so when the Craigslist person would show up, they didn't know who he was. She would put a wig on. His nickname was Frank Black, and her nickname was Jackie Star. All this stuff we know already. But then you see text messages. I can't wait for the next freak off. I can't wait to have your child. I can't live my life without you. Is this leading to this guy being innocent? All of this stuff we got going on here right now. Or maybe he pissed off the wrong person. Maybe he had this incredible protection from the top from some very, very powerful people that maybe he offended. Who knows? All of a sudden like this happens. We're going to talk about that today. If you value out of this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you want all these notes, stick around till the very end. I'm going to show you how to get them. All right, so let's get right into it. Check this out. This guy Diddy, when you look at his net worth, 2022, he's a billionaire. Oh, we hear it. We see it all over the place. Today, net worth roughly $300 million, $400 million. His net worth, if you look at it, was a lot of spirits. 70% was spirits, $700 million. 50 million was private investments. Then you see 75 million cash. 100 million real estate and collectibles, 75 million catalog and intellectual property. Go to it right now. Only $150 million is spirits. He lost $550 million there. Cash is lower and a bunch of other things are lower there. So what happened during that time when you think about his net worth? By the way, when you compare him to some other people net worth wise with Jay-Z, Dre, Diddy, and Kanye, this is what it looks like. Blue is Dre, orange is Jay-Z, green is Diddy, and purple is Kanye. Look what happened here. So Jay-Z keeps climbing. In 2011, he was roughly $450. Today he's $2.5 billion. Dre goes from where he was at $150 million at the time. He's worth roughly $980 million today. Diddy goes from $450, same place, to $1 billion, down to $300 million. And then Kanye goes from wherever he was. You look at the report today, you'll either see $300 million or $2.77 billion, depending on who's doing the audits. Forbes says $300 million. Okay, so let's go look at the Ciroc deal, what happened. So Diddy in 2007 does the Ciroc deal, which is a partnership with Diageo to revive Ciroc vodka, taking a 50-50 profit sharing role rather than the standard endorsement. As brand manager and CMO, he elevated the brand from 40,000 to over 2 million cases a year, making it a premium product. Now keep in mind, if you don't know who Diageo is, Diageo owns everybody. Johnny Walker, Crown Royal, Smirnoff, Kettle One, Don Julio, Casamigos, Captain Morgan, Bailey Irish Cream, Guinness, they own all these companies. So Ciroc, hey, this is big. We're bringing Diddy and he's going to take it from 40,000 to 2 million. Profitable, this is great. Let's make some money together. 2013, De Leon Tequila co-ownership. Diddy and Diageo jointly acquired De Leon Tequila, making it a deeper investment relationship. May of 2023, Diddy sues Diageo. Diddy filed a lawsuit accusing Diageo of neglecting the De Leon brand, racial discrimination, claiming they marketed it as an urban product and failed to treat him as a true business partner. Then in January 2024, they settled out of court. Diageo and Diego settled the dispute out of court. While details still remain sealed, the settlement marked the end of their business relationship. So this is from 2007 till 2024, 17 years. Could they have protected him? I don't know. Their CEO currently today is Deborah Ann Crew. She was a former intelligence officer in the military. Once intelligence officer, forever you're an intelligence officer. Who knows what happened? We don't know the relationship. We're not going to make any accusations. All we know is, could this have been a protection where they were at the parties and they knew things that were taking place and are like, wait, what do you want to do to us? No problem. Boom, drop the bomb. I don't know. All I'm saying is the timing is kind of strange. Maybe even they wanted to kind of be like, look, we know what's about to be dropped on this guy. We want to have nothing to do with you. We're out. Here's some money. You stay quiet. We'll pay you, but we want to get out of here. The only thing at the time is kind of crazy is January 2024, they settle. 2 months later, remember what we're sitting there doing and minding our own business? And you hear March of 2024, the feds are raiding Diddy's Miami home and his LA home. For what? What are they trying to get? And you saw them pulling out all these boxes. What's going on over here? Federal agents raided his Miami and LA home, seizing 90 terabytes of digital data. What are you taking? Bunch of letters he wrote? What do you think they're getting there, right? Multiple unregistered firearms, over 1,000 bottles of lubricant, allegedly linked to coerced sex events. His associate, Brandon Paul, was arrested at a Miami airport, and Diddy's jet was tracked to Antigua, though he remained in the U.S. We all remember this. This is nothing new. May of 2024, guess what footage is released? Cassie Ventura's footage. How long have you been having it, CNN? Since 2016. You haven't released it till now? No. Who made the phone call to say release it now? Who? Wow. Who was kind of like, we're done with this guy. You're not back. You're threatened to say this. Release the footage, right? So they released the footage. He comes out, issues an apology, while his lawyers accuse the government of leaking the tape. It was later admitted as evidence in his trial. Again, January deal, March is raiding his house, Miami and LA. May, here's a video being dropped from CNN, even though they've been sitting on it for 8 years. September 2024, book is released, Kim's Lost Words, which, by the way, there's a lot of speculation with this thing here, so whatever I'm reading is not necessarily 100%. It is there, it is not there. The alias they use on who wrote the book is Shanti Millwood, which is an alias for Tupac, which is kind of weird. Why would you use that? This book appeared on Amazon, allegedly written by Kim Porter, accused Diddy of abuse, misconduct with minors. Porter's children denounced it as fake. Investigators revealed the real author was Chris Todd, who claimed he compiled the book from a mysterious flash drive. Amazon removed the book a month later in October. So September last year was a rough year for him because that's when the lawsuit comes out and he's arrested and indicted on federal charges, racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, and transportation for prostitution. The indictment claimed he ran a criminal enterprise from 2008 to 2024. He pleaded not guilty and remained jailed at MDC Brooklyn, where his bail offers was up to $50 million, was rejected. Then all of a sudden, October, wave of lawsuits come out, okay? Attorney Tony Busby filed numerous lawsuits against Diddy with over 120 cases. Planned allegations span sexual abuse, drugging, coercion, often tied to industry events. Some suits implicate third parties, including Marriott International, for allegedly enabling the abuse. Like, you allowed for this to happen and you knew it was taking place. Then it comes to today, May of 2025, the trial begins. Okay, so what is he being prosecuted for? You got charges for racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, and transportation for prostitution. That's what's taking place right now. What is he not being prosecuted for that he's been allegedly accused of doing over the years? For example, sexual abuse of minors ages 9 to 17 in the 90s, 2000 civil suits. You know what happened? Likely barred by statute of limitations or lacked sufficient criminal evidence. Gone. Murder, blackmail, and surveillance claims, Kim Porter, drive leaks, highly speculative with no verified forensics or corroborating evidence. Gone. Arson, alleged car bombing of Kid Cudi's vehicles, alleged by Cassie but not supported by public documentation or prosecutable evidence. Gone. Civil allegations from 120 accusers, many told unverified and not investigated fully. Some may still be under review, but right now we only know about 4. So this is the one part that we got to be thinking about, because a lead prosecutor can determine whether your crime is going to be bigger or less, more scrutinized, and people are going to be looking at everything, or less. I mean, if you think about President Trump, right, in New York, you have the case that came out with Stormy Daniels, hush money, hey, that could have been civil, whatever the number was, $125,000. Didn't need to be criminal. He's a convicted felon, but the guy that was a lead prosecutor was a guy named Matthew Colangelo, and guess who's the one that appointed him? DA Alvin Bragg. And who is Alvin Bragg? You think Alvin Bragg loves Trump? No, they wanted to make him a convicted felon to just kind of destroy him. In this case, is the complete opposite who the lead prosecutor is for Diddy. It used to be Damian Williams, who was the lead prosecutor until he resigned in December of 2024. Damian Williams is a pretty connected guy. He's been a lead prosecutor on a lot of different things. You ready? Epstein, you got Diddy, you got Ghislaine Maxwell, and many others. He was appointed by President Biden. He used to work, had a relations with the Soros family. So he steps away in December of 2024 for Diddy. Why would he step away? And you know who replaces him as a lead prosecutor? Maureen Comey. You know who Maureen Comey is? She is James Comey, the former director of FBI that put the 8647 on his Instagram. She is his daughter. That is now the lead prosecutor going against Diddy. Do you think Diddy's going to end up being guilty? Who knows? We'll find out if she's going to go after him hard or not. Now, to be fair, Damian Williams and Maureen Comey both were the prosecutors, going against Sam Bankman-Fried, and decided to kind of not look at the donations that he made. I think it was the second biggest for Democrats, and he gave a bunch of Republicans as well. He was trying to buy everybody during that time. And this comes down to one other thing with Maureen Comey, to just kind of give her a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. She was a lead prosecutor going against Robert Hayden. Robert Hayden was a gynecologist who was accused of taking advantage of clients that were coming in. And one of them was Andrew Yang's wife, if I'm not mistaken. He was doing a lot of weird things. He went away 20 years in jail. So I don't want to put it in and say Maureen Comey's not going to go after certain people. She has. But in this case, Ghislaine, Epstein, Diddy, kind of weird. They're kind of weird. Bribery, reputation of what they did. A little weird that the same person is a lead prosecutor on those three different people. So this was kind of weird with Diddy, with certain patterns on certain people in his life. I had Suge Knight on. Well, around the same time while this is going on, 6, 7, 8 months ago. And he says, look, no man wakes up one day and learns how to do this kind of stuff. What do you mean no man wakes up one day? Somebody had to teach you on how to bribe and do this and hold people hostage and da-da-da-da-da. Kind of weird. And then Clive Davis's name comes up. And in Clive Davis, apparently, when you look at this in the early 70s, federal authorities started investigating whether major records, including Columbia Records, division of CBS, were directly or indirectly involved in a drug-fueled payola scheme. These were illegal arrangements where drugs or money were allegedly used to bribe radio DJs and stations to give preferential airplay to certain artists. You know who was the leading guy for Columbia at the time? A guy named Clive Davis in 1973, a rising executive and then president of Columbia Records, fired by CBS in 1973. The official reason cited the misuse of company funds. He was accused of charging personal expense, including lavish bar mitzvah costs for his son, to the company. I mean, obviously that's not good, but if you look at the charts, you hear them using heroin and other drugs to bribe DJs. Even his former EA testified and gave statements that Clive Davis authorized payola practices, further damaging his reputation. So what does Clive Davis do? Starts his own company called Arista Records in 1974. Now, while he's going through, the CBS sues him to recover some of the funds. Davis was not indicted or charged with any crime, including the broader allegation on payola or drug-related misconduct. So the relationship between Clive Davis and Diddy is interesting, because when Diddy's 23 years old, he's making a name for himself. Clive gave him $15 million to start Bad Boy Records. And then later on, they did even a bigger deal where Clive gave him $50 million advance on future earnings. This is 5 years later in 1998. $6 million upfront payment, $700,000 annual salary, and a state-of-the-art recording studio. We're talking about $2 million recording studio. This is when he went after Faith Evans. He got Biggie in the early 90s. This is when it started. But there's a relationship with Clive. And it's interesting because Clive later on, they say something may have happened here, because Suge said Clive taught him the bad habits. And later on, Clive comes out and says the following. Yes, record mogul Clive Davis has identified as being bisexual. He publicly revealed in his memoir, this is not allegedly, he said it, the soundtrack of my life. At the age of 80, he also discussed in an interview with Katie Couric, expressing the hope that his coming out would contribute to greater understanding of bisexuality. It's Clive Davis. And on top of that, very weird, the principal of the high school that Diddy went to school to. This is like completely crazy. In 1987, Reverend Bernard Lynch and brother Timothy Brady were accused of sexually abusing students at Mount St. Michael Academy in Bronx, New York. While this was happening, the allegations involved the molestation of 3 boys. While the timing overlaps Diddy enrollment at school, there is no public record or indication that he was among the victims, and no one knows the 3 boys' names. So Timothy Brady goes and gets convicted, goes to jail. He's in prison. But when he comes out, he goes back and is reassigned by Marist Brothers to a Catholic high school in Chicago, where he worked from 1993 to 2005, 12 more years after you know what he's doing to boys. I mean, this makes a lot of sense, right? And then Reverend Bernard Lynch was indicted in 98, stood trial in 89 on the abuse of former student. He was acquitted of all charges. Lynch has maintained that his prosecution was the result of a witch hunt due to his AIDS ministry and advocacy for LGBTQ rights. In 2019, Lynch faced a new civil lawsuit allegedly sexual abuse of a 16-year-old student at Mount St. Michael Academy during 1978 and 79. The lawsuit was dropped in 2021. So who knows? Some are saying maybe one of those 3 boys could have been Diddy, and maybe he picked up some of those habits there. Chances of that, less than 5%. But these are all very weird things that are kind of coming together. This next one here, don't let your kids listen to this next part. I mean, at this point, if you let your kids listen to the whole thing, you shouldn't have done it in the first place. But this next part, maybe you say earmuffs or pause, stop the video, step away, put the, So this guy goes to Macy's one day, Diddy, with his crew. While he's at Macy's, the plaintiff claims that Diddy, accompanied by 3 armed bodyguards, enters the stockroom. This is 08. This isn't too long ago. This is 17 years ago. He was 38 years old at the time. Goes in the stockroom, and the plaintiff alleges that he was struck, possible pistol whipped, and threatened with death by the bodyguards. Combs then allegedly forced them to perform oral on him, referring to as echo, and making derogatory comments during the assault. Do you know what ends up happening afterwards? You may never go to Macy's ever again. Okay, you ready? Aftermath, Macy's response. Following the incidents, Combs purportedly took Sean John merchandise from the stockroom and distributed it to shoppers on the sales floor. The plaintiff reported assault to Macy's security, but asserts that no action was taken. He further alleges that approximately 3 weeks later, Macy's CEO Terry Lundgren pressured Echo executive to terminate his employment to safeguard a multi-million-dollar deal Macy's had with Sean John. Subsequently, he was fired and lost his company-provided housing. Like, I don't know if this is a true story or not, but it's written about all over the place. You're not gonna have a hard time finding this. If a person comes out and says, this person did this to me, one person comes out, they're getting after somebody. 2, 3, all of these stories in different, this person's got issues in his heart. And I'm talking about Diddy. The guy's got problems, you know. I mean, this doesn't happen accidentally. And Diddy's father was tied to the mob back in the days, working with Frank Lucas. You ever seen the movie American Gangster? Frank Lucas, the one that was selling the Blue Magic, I think what it was called. And they claimed that he was an FBI informant, that he was leaking information. And who knows what the hell was going on. But that's the lineage. So I don't know what's gonna happen. Here's what I could tell you. If it goes with the pattern that we've seen with Ghislaine, with Epstein, with Diddy, either Diddy's gonna commit suicide, either he's going to be hiding somewhere that we won't hear about for many, many years, or he's gonna be O.J. Simpson and he'll be released and said, I told you I was as innocent. I told you nothing happened. I told you I was this. Or he's gonna go to jail and spend the rest of his life in jail. Not likely. Because he has access to a lot of information on a lot of people that make a lot of money for people in Hollywood. Do they want those people to be gone? I don't know. With one of those guys that makes a lot of money for a lot of people is Justin Bieber, to the point that their lawyer has to respond to it and say, hey, although Justin is not among Sean Combs' victims, because it's always been said, there's been some very strange videos that we've seen. These are individuals who were genuinely harmed by him. Shifting focus away from the reality detracts from the justice these victims rightfully deserve. While this is taking place, it's pretty wild. Bieber, 15 years old, you spent a couple days with him? It's kind of weird. Looks at the Lambo. What do you think about the Lambo? Hey, we do some things that nobody needs to know about. It's a lot of weird things. So, I don't know. I ran into him, Diddy, after I made a few videos, and we looked at each other like this for a couple minutes. At a Miami Heat game, he was there with a girl, and it was an interesting exchange. Made a lot of accusations, you know, not accusations. I've had, you know, Greg Kading, a lot of people I've had on because I'm convinced that's my opinion. I believe he's tied to Tupac and a lot of other people. Hopefully there will be justice, okay? Hopefully there will be justice. Whatever that is, there will be justice because a lot of people were hurt by this guy here. If you want the research, here are all the notes that we have. All you have to do is download the app and go to PVD Entrepreneur Circle. I'm putting a lot of these notes over there that anybody can have access to. You can go there, get registered, and you can communicate there as well. Put your opinion. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? You guys can do that. But all these notes will be there. And if you enjoyed this interview, you've never seen my conversation with Suge Knight.
So as you see it, there is a web, right? A dark web. From the inception of the billions of dollars and hundreds of millions of dollars of money that P. Diddy has made through his companies, whether it was through selling spirits, whether it was through merchandise, whether it was through music. He has a lot of relationships. He's highly connected. I think it's almost the Epstein effect a little bit. There's a lot of information and details that we're still waiting to come out from the Epstein files and information that we thought we would have by now, and details on the inside ring of what happened there that we haven't, received information on. And as PBD eloquently states, he believes the same thing is going to happen even with this case, and and that he's too powerful, i.e., he knows too much. He knows too much to go down, and he might get a slap on the wrist and or get off. What do you think, Crystal?
I'm not sure what the outcome is going to be. I tend to be very optimistic about everything, but I really think that he's probably going to get off. I think that after he makes the right deals and tells on the right people and shares the right information, I think a lot of these things, it ends up being about trying to get someone, trying to prove a point. Because even in the video, when we heard that CNN had this footage, what was it,
2016?
Yeah, 2016.
Yes.
And they just held it.
They held it.
So it's like, so you held it for what? What is the plan? Right. So it just makes me feel like this is all a plan, it's all a scheme. And I know you have to build these cases. I don't know if this is a RICO case or not, but I know it takes time to watch and to build the building blocks and make the case. I think that if he says the right things, tells on the right people, releases the right information, he'll be out.
Let's talk about Cassie. All right. Is she incriminated in all of this? Is she, I guess everyone likes to talk about squeaky clean these days, right? is she, yeah, I know, right? That's what someone said recently about someone we know and hold to be dear to us.
Yes.
A few days ago.
We didn't like that. We don't like the use of that word. So now we say squeaky clean.
Yeah. And so do you think that she is, do you think that she's in too deep? What are your thoughts about that?
I think that we can't have a world where we talk about women's empowerment and equality, and I know we do talk about those things, and not hold her accountable. And too many women are getting into these kinds of relationships, and let's be honest, we get into them because the man is rich.
Yes.
He can afford us a certain lifestyle.
Right.
You can't say she stayed for the kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
You can't say, some of the excuses that are there. She really stayed, I think, because she wanted to be there. But I do believe that I don't think that he was doing that the beginning of the relationship is what was happening in the end. I do believe it's just the nature of sin and just the nature of these kinds of situations. I do believe that there was a progression. I do believe that in the beginning, it was probably a storybook romance that was very normal, I guess you could say. I think that based on some of the testimonies, the freak-offs or FOs, whatever you call them, I think some of them started with just them.
Okay.
And one other person, as we've heard what the frozen meat guy or whatever talk about. And I think that over time they grew.
Okay.
I do. I think that over time there was a progression. And I think over time she knew that she was in for something that not even she could handle. But I still stand on the reality that as women, we have to see the signs. We have to be responsible, and we have to understand the kinds of decisions that we are making. I think that most people who just watch the media knows that there's a little something wrong with Diddy.
Yes.
I think we all think he's a little off.
Right.
So I don't understand how you could be that close to him.
Right.
And not think that he's there's a little something special going on. So that's just my thought about her.
True.
I think that Cassie, I won't say that she knew that she was getting that. I don't think she knew she was going to be drinking urine, but I think that she knew that she was not dealing with a Christian man,
right,
and not dealing with a very good guy.
That's good. And recently the question of President Trump pardoning Diddy came up. And so I want to take a look at this next video where Stephen A. Smith unpacks that situation, as well as President Trump is introduced to the idea for the first time of whether or not he would even consider pardoning P. Diddy. Take a look at this.
Welcome back. Now let's get to the latest on Sean Diddy Combs' federal sex trafficking and racketeering trial. A former assistant testifying under the pseudonym Mia was back on the stand facing cross-examination for Combs' defense team. Meanwhile, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson spoke out this weekend about the trial and any potential pardon Combs could receive from President Trump. 50 went to social media following these comments from President Trump last Friday when asked about Diddy and the trial. Take a listen, please.
Back when you hosted The Apprentice, you mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it.
All right, hold it there.
I think people have been.
You hear what President Trump says? He's like, no one has asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter. I don't know why you're asking me this dumb question. Now I have to answer it. But I want everybody to know that no one has been stupid enough to bring this up to me on camera. But you had to be the one to do it. You had to be the one.
And Trump had to be the one to not let him get away with it.
I respect that, though.
Me too.
Because this thing is like, man, all right, now you're going to put me on the hot seat. I'm going to push it back on
you. Put you on the hot seat.
You're gonna bring this up like this. Like, man, this is so, I mean, because President Trump recently pardoned, I think it was NBA YoungBoy. And some other people. And for everybody out there that likes to label President Trump as he's a racist, he doesn't like black people, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. The new big, beautiful bill is going to demonize Negroes and take us back to slavery time and blah, 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 blah. Man, I always just look at the historical pictures that are out there on the internet of President Trump with Don King.
Right.
Of President Trump with Al Sharpton, of President Trump with Jesse Jackson, of President Trump with Muhammad Ali, of President Trump with all kinds of leaders, of President Trump with Oprah Winfrey. They used to be the best of friends. Of President Trump with Whoopi, Too Hard to Look at Goldberg. I mean, all of these videos and or images and pictures tell me that prior to him running as a Republican, he was beloved. You want to know why? He was a money man.
That's right.
Right? He had his renowned show Apprentice. He didn't have a problem getting black people on that show.
No, he did not.
They loved him.
I never missed the episode.
So you did. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that back when DVR was the thing.
Oh yeah.
If you didn't have DVR,
yeah.
You were nobody. We had we had DVR before DVR was DVR.
Yeah.
And we would record them episodes and watch it, and I would sit there and watch them, and we loved to all hear him say, "You're fired."
Mm-hmm.
All right, but it wasn't difficult for him to recruit black people to come on his show.
Mm-hmm.
They loved him. It was almost as if he was bigger than life. But the moment he says, you know what, I want to run for office, because over the past several decades, I have been inundated with bad actors.
Yeah.
Politicians who've come to me wanting me to support their campaign and offering me potentially influence and access and power. If he's heard from one politician, he's heard from a million. Okay. Mm-hmm. He heard all of the gimmicks, all of the tricks, all of the ideas, all of the empty promises. And he got to a point where he said, you know what, man, I can do this the right way. Mm-hmm. And I can do this better than all of you losers. I am going to run. And while being a multi-billionaire, he does it. But does he need more money? No. I mean, does he need more accomplishments? I mean, this guy has skyscrapers all over the world. Mm-hmm. You know, and so he has a legacy. He has fortune. He has a wonderful family. He has children. You know, he's still working on mastering being in a solid marriage. You know what I mean? He's improving in that area. You know what I mean? But he's not perfect. You know, he has his flaws. Mm-hmm. He has his issues and things of that nature.
But he keeps trying.
You know what I mean? He keeps trying, and everyone believes that he's going to do right.
Yeah.
This time. And so there are many things that you can glean from him, things that you would want to mirror and to laud and praise. But there's some things that he can improve on.
Right.
However, when it comes to his policies, I love his policies.
Me too.
I have heretofore supported him because of his policies. And there are times where he speaks too much, and he gets in his own way. The greatest enemy and threat to President Trump is President Trump.
Yeah.
We all know that. But by and large, the man campaigns on a platform, and then he gets in office, and he fights to do what he said he's going to do. And here we have it. They know that, hey, if we bring this up and he says he's going to do it,
he's going to do it.
He's going to do it.
That's right.
Watch.
Very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, that relationship busted up from what I read. I don't know. He didn't tell me that, but I'd read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden. It's different. You become a much different person when you run for politics and you do what's right. I could do other things, and I'm sure he'd like me, and I'm sure other people would like me, but it wouldn't be as good for our country. As we said, our country's doing really well because of what we're doing. So it's not a popularity contest. So I don't know. I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me.
Now, here's what Fitty posted on Instagram this week, and after those comments, quote, Donald doesn't take well to disrespect and doesn't forget who chooses to go against him. While working tirelessly to make America great again, there is no room for distraction. He would consider pardoning anyone who was being mistreated, not Diddy. Combs said some really bad things about Trump. It's not okay. I'm going to reach out so he knows how I feel about this guy, end quote. First of all, let me say this, because I love me some 50 Cent. I love what he's doing. I love what he's doing on Stars, Power, the sequels, Power Book Ghost, which is my favorite, Power Book Force with Joseph Sikora, plays Tommy Egan. I love that. I love Raising Canaan. You saw what I had. You saw I had the star Patina Miller's on the show. She's phenomenal. I love that show. I love everything that 50 Cent is doing. Even though I'm sure he's going to still make some music or whatever, but I just think he's phenomenal. I think he's phenomenal as executive producer. I think he's an incredible talent, and I think he is the kind of person you do not want against you, because this brother will troll you forever. I mean, he will hit you where it hurts. Ain't no doubt about that. And he clearly has no love for Diddy. My whole point is Trump's willingness to pardon Diddy, potentially, whatever 50 Cent feels, it shouldn't be based on whether Trump, what Diddy has said about Trump. It should be based on whether Trump thinks the charges against him are excessive, the crime that he's being accused of, if he were to be committed of those federal crimes, how valid they are, and whether or not that time served comes into consideration. That clearly is not going to be the case. I mean, if it's one of those situations where President Trump ended up pardoning P. Diddy, P. Diddy's on trial now. He hasn't been convicted yet. He's been in jail for a few months. But with some of the things that he's been accused of, sex trafficking and racketeering, as the government continues to make its case, we got to hear what the defense has to say in response to those allegations, those charges, those assertions that the prosecution has made against him. Ultimately, if you want to look at him right now, clearly he's an individual that nobody wants to have anything to do with.
Mm-hmm.
When you consider the video and how it revealed how he was physically abusing his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, when you hear the assistant give her testimony, when you hear the things that folks have alluded to, when you hear about the details about what he coaxed Cassie Ventura into doing, these are very heinous, disgusting things, to say the least. I'm not going to even go into detail. They're heinous and disgusting. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, why are you thinking about pardoning him before he's even been convicted? Let him get convicted, and if he gets convicted, let him spend some time in jail, and then after that, if you want to consider pardoning him, your decision should be based on that, not on whether or not he has said nasty things about the president. So, and 50 Cent, I would just like to know from 50 Cent specifically what the beef is with Diddy. Whatever that may be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't follow it like that. He does not like this man. He feels whatever it is that he feels about Diddy. This is not my lane, ladies and gentlemen. I don't follow the hip hop. I like my music. I like listening to hip hop, but I don't follow the storylines that come associated. I know nothing of the history between 50 Cent and Diddy. But Diddy has me wanting to find out. I'm sorry, 50 Cent has me wanting to find out what that history is. Because most people would just not say anything. You understand? If Trump says what he says, all right, no matter what their feelings are, they ain't going to get involved. 50 Cent don't give a damn. He don't give a damn. He literally is saying he's going to reach out to Trump to remind Trump of the things that P. Diddy has said about him for the sole express purposes of making sure that Trump doesn't pardon Diddy in the event that Diddy gets convicted of sex trafficking and racketeering. That's what 50 Cent is sworn to do. And I got to admit to you, that's wild. Damn, you know you got an enemy there when the man want to go out of his way to contact the president, you know, and clearly he has some kind of inroads where he can get to President Trump so President Trump can hear him. He's basically saying, yo, brother need to go down. Brother need to go down and stay down. That's what he's saying. So if Diddy didn't have enough problems, having 50 Cent on your ass is a problem. That's a problem. That's the only thing I can peel from it at this moment in time. I would love for 50 Cent to tell us what exactly is his disgust with Diddy, other than the disgust we all feel from the videos we already saw. It would be real interesting to see that. I'm just saying.
All right, so I want to ask you, the audience, what is the rub? What is the beef between 50 Cent and P. Diddy? Let me know what you think. Dion Edison says already that 50 is trolling, laugh out loud. Andre B. Fishin says 50 Cent already spoke out about that. Dion Edison said a couple weeks ago, LeBron was on Stephen A. behind. What is the beef? What is the rub? What's going on here, Crystal? What do you think as well?
I know that, I mean, they're both just kind of in the same life, you know, in that same whole gangster, rapper, whatever kind of world. The only part that thing that I've heard of, that I've seen videos of 50 Cent alleging that Diddy invited him to go shopping. You know, that whole little thing. And, you know, one grown man inviting another grown man to go shopping.
I'll take you shopping.
Oh, yeah. Now, I like that.
Yeah, we go shopping, but I kind of feel like a Mac Daddy when I do that, though. I kind of feel like, yeah, baby, you can go shopping. I'm taking you shopping, but you know what it's going to lead to.
And that's right now.
All right? You know, this is, I won't pay back.
Amen.
All right. I'm not doing it for nothing.
Hey, my pleasure. You know, it works.
Right.
And you know, when somebody takes you shopping, you feel loved, you feel, you know, you feel like a woman. You feel, you know,
feel like a woman.
So I can only imagine that.
Because you don't take me shopping.
I don't.
That's true. I want y'all to get this. When she says, okay, I'm going to take, well, you've never told me, honey, I'm going to take you shopping because I don't exude that kind of vibe.
I don't even.
You're not taking me shopping
for you, honey. You're just that kind of man that you know we'll go shopping together.
We can go. You can.
And I'll say, honey, I think that would look good on you, or I think you would like this cologne. But you're
not taking me. Shopping.
You're not that kind of guy.
I'm not that kind of guy. But I would take you shopping.
Yep. And I appreciate it.
You ride in the passenger seat because I'm a behind the steering wheel kind of man.
That's right. Yeah.
I want y'all to know this. This is just a little thing, a little tidbit about John Amanchukwu. I don't like the feeling of having a lady and or my wife, and even as a young man growing up, my mother driving me. I don't like for a lady to drive me.
No, well,
I don't like the feeling.
Works for me.
I know it.
I sit over there and fall asleep or whatever.
Or listen, it's the summer, and it's 100 degrees outside.
Okay.
I have the AC on 65 and hers is on 83.
That's right.
All right. And I'm sitting in there, and at a certain point, I at first I let her just, do her thing. It's 65 on my side, it's 83 on her side. After I give about 2.5 minutes. Okay. But after that, I'm turning that thing down just a little bit, But I guess you're more so cold.
Yeah, I don't like to be cold. I get
Yeah.
cold. You already know this, John. I just get cold pretty quickly, and
I know
the Lord has blessed you with a nice big car where your side can be cold.
That's right.
My side can be warm.
That's right.
But I can imagine that probably didn't rub a guy like 50 Cent the right way.
Right.
Male or female, people don't take to those kind of advances lightly.
No.
It makes you feel a kind of way, and it definitely makes you feel, what did you see in me? What did I do to make you think you can approach me like that? And so
I'm gonna take you shopping.
Yeah.
Hey man, how are you gonna tell another multimillionaire?
Right. And buy me what? Do I need your money?
See?
I mean, come on. I wouldn't want him to tell me that. I don't want your money, Diddy. No. I don't want I don't want 50's money. No, because we all know where that's going. So, I mean, for one man, and then 50.
Yes.
I mean, 50 doesn't like, who does 50 like?
I know.
50 doesn't like anybody. He doesn't, I mean, he's just a rough guy. He's just that kind of a guy.
Right.
So why would you, I mean, who do you think you are to approach 50 as if you're talking to Cassie?
Oh my, he tried to do the Cassie with 50.
Yeah, he tried to Bieber 50. Tried to Usher 50.
You're going to Usher and Bieber and Cassie and Meek Mill.
Yeah, 50.
You're going to Meek Mill meet. I mean, you all have probably seen that video.
Allegedly.
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 It was reported to me.
Yeah.
That Meek Mill got meat by P. Diddy. Man, this whole thing is
it's a mess.
It's messed up. But I would never. The audacity of an individual to think that you're going to just take another millionaire out to go shopping.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's a disrespect.
Right.
Because a alpha male is thinking, now what did I do to make you think I would want that?
Right.
So you're going to make me grab my ankles too?
Yeah. What, you going to take me in the stock room and treat me like you treated that, allegedly treated that other guy?
No, man. No.
It's just not right.
No, I'm not. I'm someone in the comments, they're calling names. Someone said, Lord have mercy. People are laughing. Someone said, quoted the name of a prominent preacher, T.D. Jakes. Now, why y'all bringing Jakes into this?
Oh, man.
And Jakes has already resigned. He got out, but y'all still bringing him in. Why y'all bringing the man in like that? Allegedly. Everybody say allegedly. Allegedly.
Thank you, April.
Everything that we're saying that we don't have solid information on, we're only saying these things allegedly, i.e. it was reported to me.
Yeah. And these people live to be in the media. They live to be in the spotlight, and that's what they like. So that's where it is. But that's one thing I've heard about, that I've actually seen videos of him talking about. They reportedly have competing vodka brands.
True.
That's one thing. And I guess both of them are just two titans in the same kind of space.
Yep. And then you have the Bomb diss track in 2006. This is often cited as the starting point in his song. The Bomb, 50 Cent insinuated that Diddy has knowledge about the 1997 murder of Notorious B.I.G.
Now, that's a reason not to like somebody.
It is.
Now, I'm a good old church girl.
Sure.
Saved, sanctified, all that.
But they off Biggie.
But I like B.I.G. I like that Notorious B.I.G. now.
No. Notorious.
Now, mind you, I wasn't allowed to listen to certain things, so I don't come tell me about the dirty lyrics. I only heard the clean version on the radio.
Version.
This is back in the day now.
Clean radio version.
I only heard the clean radio
you didn't have
version.
A CD?
No, I didn't
you didn't
have
an 8-track.
No.
You didn't. Okay, all right.
But his mother was a beautiful woman, a teacher, and just you know, so that was, I came up in that was my day.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I came up in that. So I think that's a good reason not to like somebody too, you know?
And in the song, in the diss track, it says, man, Puffy, no, he hit that N-word. Diddy has consistently denied these allegations. And it's always been unique and weird and odd as to who really offed Biggie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who did it? Who shot you? Right? Who got him? We don't know. You mentioned the competing vodka brands. It's almost like McDonald's and Burger King competing. You know what I mean? It's, hey, we have the best number one. No, we have the best number one. You know, our burgers are flame broiled.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Burger King. Well, then McDonald's comes along and say, hey man, we got the best special sauce. We got that Thousand Island. And let me tell you something, that Thousand Island on that burger, it got that tang to it, got that kick. That thing it'll hit you up. And then you look at the fries at McDonald's versus the fries at Burger King. Now McDonald's has the best fries.
Hands down.
But the funny thing with eating McDonald's is whenever I eat there, I never get full. I just don't get full. I just get tired of eating. But you just never get full. It's something in that food that just
not supposed to get full. You're supposed to go back.
Oh my God. And that's the problem with people today in the healthcare system, and why RFK is doing what he is doing. And so they have professional disagreements and industry politics. Some speculate that this beef also relates to earlier career dynamics, such as Diddy not signing 50 Cent early in his career, or Diddy's alleged attempts to prevent Mace from leaving Bad Boy Records to join 50 Cent's G Unit. There have also been mentions of 50 Cent ghost writing for Diddy in the past.
I can imagine that.
Because we all know,
I can imagine
we all know that P. Diddy is not much of an artist. He was all in the videos.
What did Quincy Jones say, that he didn't know a beef from a beef flat or something? That's what Quincy Jones.
That's bad.
So funny, because it was
That's
like, so you're a what? You're a musician. You're an artist. You don't know what instrument do you. Have we ever seen Diddy play an instrument though?
And he doesn't play instruments. He doesn't do the whole Kirk Franklin thing. Because Kirk can sing a little bit.
He can sing. He can play.
He can sing.
God knows he can dance.
And he can play. He can dance.
Yeah.
He can choreograph. He'll get that stuff right. You know what I mean? He'll do it. But we don't see this in P. Diddy. All he did was dance around in the video, swirl in a circle, and he was pretty much a hype man. And he was essentially, as we see now, he was just a pimp.
And that's what makes his success so suspicious. That's why you wonder what sacrifices, what deals, what kind of things, because it wasn't talent. I mean, when you hear about the things that happen to talent like Michael Jackson, to talent like Usher, these people have talent.
Yeah, they do.
They can sing, they can play, they can dance, they can do some things. And to see this guy, and he's at the top of a talent industry. And why did Clive Davis give him 15 million? I mean, for what? As opposed to all of the other people who were out there. And maybe he's just a businessman. Maybe that's a talent now. That is a great talent. But what's interesting about all of this for me is that it seems as if the grooming, did you hear that right at the end? Allegedly, it could be that all of this started with him at school. At his school with his principal and someone else who was there, and there were 3 boys who were molested while he was there. We don't know who those boys are, and one was fired for a while, or I think did some time, came back, worked 12 more years until he retired. You never know whose life we're touching as we are fighting to protect the schools.
To get this stuff out.
Fighting to protect our children.
Get rid of these books. We don't know who we are protecting. At the same time, it could be the next Diddy. The next person who might end up molested and perverted and go out and do a lot of damage.
Yes, sir.
To a lot of people. I want to give some final words as a takeaway from this episode, looking at what happened at the Arlington public school system what they're doing for Pride Month, even looking at the PBD synopsis of the Diddy scandal and Stephen A. Smith's synopsis. What's your takeaway? What should Christians keep in mind? How should we react to these situations? And what is the role of the church? Just give some general feedback on that.
I think for one thing, we really, ironically, have to guard against pride. We have to guard against selfish ambition and pride. A lot of the sacrifices that these kinds of people are making, paying the price to be famous, paying the price to be a star, paying the price to be known and to get certain accolades. I mean, we have to fight against that, and we have to teach ourselves and teach our children to seek the will of God, to seek purpose, not popularity, but purpose, and to know what God's will is for our lives, and to learn to flourish and to be satisfied in that. We must take the time to protect our children and the institutions that are attached and connected to them. And we have to, more than anything, return to being a country that is based on biblical values. There is no system, there is no belief system, not the Republican ideals, Democratic ideals. There's no system that is more secure to build our lives and our futures on than the Word of God, than the Bible, than the gospel of Jesus Christ. That is the only thing that is going to be an anchor to us, that is going to hold us right in the middle, that is going to help us deal with the difficulties that come along with life and help us just to find our way into what is right. And we have to live out loud. We have to be written epistles of men. We have to share the gospel, preach the gospel. It really is that simple. This is the power of God unto salvation for all who believe. And I'm more convinced of that every single day.
You know what? As you're talking and you're just knocking the ball out of the park, a song comes to mind. The song says, hold to his hands, God's unchanging hands. Oh, hold to his hands, God's unchanging hands. He said, you better build your hopes on things eternal. You ought to hold to God's unchanging hands. You want some of that song right there?
No, thank you, John.
You don't want none? She go, well, listen, we've come down to the end of this segment. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let us know in the comment section, are we right or are we wrong? Are we weak or are we strong? God bless you, my friends, and God bless America. Take care.